whoever did it, if they're still alive today, I would say to him, you can get forgiven for this, but you got to make it right to the extent you can.
This entire case is so full of mystery that it's just compelling everywhere you look. It could be anything.
They're referring to the 1998 murder of Father Alfred Koontz in Dane County. The murder may still be unsolved, but it is certainly not forgotten.
That's for sure. One reporter is still on the case, and you can stay up to date through a new podcast. Joining us now is Gina Barton. She's a reporter at the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, and she's the host of Unsolved, a true crime podcast. Season 3 is called The Devil You Know, and it is full of many twists and turns. We're super excited to have you here. Thanks you so much.
Glad to be here.
I feel like now you have to be here every week.
I know.
Talk about each new
With the updates.
And right now it's Wednesday, so you're releasing a new episode every Wednesday through March 27th. And so today's Tuesday, so tomorrow this will be episode what?
Tomorrow will be episode 2, when you'll get to hear all about the 911 call that was made by the teacher who found the priest's body on the hallway of the school.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so let's just first of all get it started, especially for people who maybe are new to the city, because I actually moved to Milwaukee about the time that this happened. For people who aren't familiar with it, give us just a little quick background on it.
Well, and I too didn't move here until about 5 years after this happened, but still, even then, it was a story that everybody was still talking about. So in 1998, the 7th and 8th grade teacher at St. Michael's School in Dane, which was a small Catholic parochial school, got there for work in the morning and found the parish priest dead on the floor. Somebody had slit his throat overnight. So it really impacted the community. It was really mysterious. So much violence against a priest. People just were stunned and couldn't figure out who would do such a thing.
Yeah.
How do people describe the priest? It's Dr. or Father Koontz, right?
Right. So Father Koontz, people either loved him or hated him. He's been described to me as a very polarizing figure. So the people who attended his church, where he did very old school Catholic things, he still said the Latin Mass, he was very strict about the 10 Commandments, things like that. So people who were into that just loved him and thought he was amazing. And people who kind of thought the church should be moving more into modern times and, you know, you should be a little bit more open-minded about some of these old ways, were not fans of his.
What do detectives say about this case? Because you mentioned violence, and it seems to indicate that it wasn't maybe a robbery, for example, or something like that, but something where somebody had a lot of emotion tied to it. Is that how they feel?
The issue with this case is that usually having your throat slit would be something personal, show a lot of anger toward that person. But in this particular case, they think that's what happened, but they don't know. It could just as easily be a robbery. It's been 20 years and they haven't ruled out robbery. They haven't ruled out crime of passion. They pretty much haven't been able to rule out anything.
Who are some of the suspects? What are we kind of looking at? Because there are people who have been identified with it that have spoken to you.
Yes. So the first suspect that they had on their list for a long time, but who they have since taken off, was Brian Jackson, that teacher who called to report finding the body. And he talked to us a little bit, and you'll hear from him in, I think it's episode 8. Then there was also a waitress at the restaurant where Father Koontz liked to have breakfast. She claimed she was clairvoyant, and so she said she had seen the murder in a dream.
Huh.
Yeah.
And did she see who did it in her dream?
She said she was hovering kind of above the scene, so she saw a tall man from behind, so it wasn't particularly helpful.
Okay.
No, not so helpful.
So why do you think this case has remained top of mind for a lot of people? What makes it so interesting? Is part of it because he was a priest?
I think definitely part of it was because he was a priest. Another part of it is that Dane is this small farming town. It's 20 miles from Madison, but it's like another universe. It's just small, quiet. Everybody knows each other, kind of keep to themselves. And so for something this dramatic and violent to happen in a place like that was just shocking. And it has changed, you know, the way that they live there even 20 years later.
What about the police having such a hard time solving a crime like this? Is there no DNA? Is there nothing that maybe couldn't have been used back then, but now we have the technology to use?
There have been a couple of updates. They weren't really using DNA back then. Recently, well, not recently in this case, anyway, it was about 6 or 7 years ago, they found a new sample on some of the evidence, but it wasn't enough to make a full DNA profile. So if they find the person, they can say like, oh yeah, this looks like it might match up with you, but it's only 1 in several thousand, not the 1 in a million.
What is, because we keep saying that you have new information, what's the most fascinating thing right now to you? And do you think it'll be solved? As much as you've worked with it in these podcasts and talking to people kind of on the inside.
There are so many fascinating things about this case. One of the things that I found out was that there was a suspect that nobody had ever heard of publicly before. And he is a guy who actually is a wildlife rehabilitator and tattoo artist. And 2 of the detectives who talked to him, when they went to talk to him, they were trying to like build rapport with him. And so one of them went to pet the squirrel and it bit her. And she had to just keep on with the interview as if nothing had happened.
Oh my gosh.
So everywhere you go, there's just this cast of really interesting characters. Will it be solved? Everybody is obviously hopeful that it will be solved. The sheriff in Dane County tells me they think the only way it will be solved is if somebody who has information comes forward. Somebody who 20 years ago heard something, saw something, somebody told them something, or maybe at this point even a deathbed confession.
Wow.
Really quick, because we ran out of time, did he have any personal relationships that have been discovered? A lover, anything like that?
Yes, that was another controversial part of this, is that I talked to one detective who said she spoke with at least 2 women who said they had intimate relationships with him. And so that's why in a priest murder, generally a love triangle wouldn't be a motive, but in this one, they haven't taken that off the table either.
Do you have to listen to the first 2 podcasts?
Yes, I would say the first one dropped last week, the second one's tomorrow, but you can go back and listen to all of them. We also had season 1 and season 2 that focused on different cases, so we've got 18 episodes now.
There we go. jsonline.com/unsolved. New episodes will be released every Wednesday through March 27th. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. That was fun.